I bought an R5C instead of a R5 Mark II. Let's talk about it. Well, hey there, my name is Tony and I am a filmmaker and photographer in the St. Louis area. And today we're talking about the R5C, which I just bought this week, which is a little crazy because everybody else is getting their new R5 Mark IIs. And we're gonna talk about why I decided that I needed the R5C instead of the R5 Mark II. Now, just to give you a little background, what I do is I'm a filmmaker, I'm a photographer. I do this full-time out of my home office here, and I make videos for people, take photos. I do wedding photos and video. I do corporate headshots and brand videos and all the different things. And I get into some of that digital strategy, which is a lot of fun because I get to help people figure out what exactly do they need when it comes to digital assets. And so, a little bit more background, I pre-ordered the R5 and the R6, got those in as soon as they came out, and I just love those cameras. Now, because I do both photo and video, most people know that the R5 and the R6 has a few different limitations that some of these new cameras, like the R5 Mark II and the R5C have. And so just recently I feel like the R6 isn't keeping up with some of the workflow that I needed. So I decided to sell that, and it's a great camera. I know a lot of people that still shoot on that R6. It is an amazing camera, but for me, it just had some limitations with video, especially the video limit. And like I said, I help clients figure out what they need. And so some of these videos are longer than that 30-minute limit that we're seeing on the R5 and the R6. So now the R5 Mark II takes care of that, but there's all sorts of reasons why I just decided it was time for me to sell that R6 and get a new camera. At the same time, they released the R5 Mark II, and I just decided, you know what, I really want to look at the R5C because of the features that it has, and I ended up getting that instead. Now, does that mean I'm never gonna get an R5 Mark II? Probably not. I'm probably gonna upgrade the R5 that I'm shooting on right now, or pick up an R5 Mark II and keep the R5 as my backup camera, just because the R5 is such a great camera. It is so capable and so versatile. It didn't have some of the overheating issues that I saw on the R6, has all those megapixels, so it's gonna be able to shoot huge resolutions for a long time, and I just love this R5 that we're shooting on right now. So, the R5C. Now, when this camera came out, it got a whole bunch of love and a whole bunch of hate about a couple different things. And one of those was the battery life. The other one is its C-Log 2. And the other one is that it has a little tiny HDMI port on it. Now, the R5 Mark II fixed all of those things. So I should have probably went with that one, except for the fact that the R5C does so many things that the R5 Mark II doesn't do. Now, when we start talking about some of those, that's really where it comes into why I just love this camera. The first reason is the type of work that I'm gonna be doing. In my perspective, the R5 Mark II is a photo-first camera. It does that really well. It's got IBIS, which is really great for both photo and video, but that can be a con when it comes to handhelds and wide angles. You get that kind of warping thing that I get with the R5 and the R6. That's one of the reasons why I decided the R5C, I have already got a camera with IBIS, so let's try one without IBIS. Things like that. That way I've got versatility in the work that I'm doing. I'm also doing a little bit more of these longer videos that we're recording over 30 minutes, say a long interview that's like 45 minutes to an hour, and I was just always worried about the R6 turning off or the R5 turning off and having to figure out, are they gonna overheat? And once a camera overheats on you, it's kind of always in the back of your head. And I had that happen with the R6 earlier this summer and decided, you know what? I just need to upgrade this camera and I can. So that's really what went into a lot of the mindset. Do I need another photo first camera or do you need another video first camera? And that's what really sets this R5C apart from the R5 Mark II. one of my favorite features on this camera is when you flip it over to video, you get that cinema menu system, that whole different operating system. It's like a different brain inside the camera. And if you've never used the cinema operating system, it is such a better experience for video shooting. Some of the reasons that I think that with the R5, as soon as I hit record, it turns off my histogram. It doesn't let me change settings on the fly, whereas with that cinema operating system, it lets me throw up the waveform. It lets me put on zebras. It lets me put on false color all at the same time in the midst of shooting video. And so those are some of the reasons that I'm just really excited to have a camera that is a little bit more video focused first. Which is really the second reason, like that was a big selling point for me, because if I can have a camera that still shoots great photos and I can have a video first camera, then I've got really two strong punches there. Does that make sense? The other reason that I thought instead of buying the R5 Mark II is the price. This camera, when it came out, was, I don't know, maybe $4,500, $5,000. Right now, you can pick it up at B&H at the time of this video for like $3,600, which the R5 Mark II is $4,200. And I know we're just talking a couple $100 here, but from my perspective, sell my R6, get the R5C, and then if I need to upgrade, I can either sell my R5 for a little bit more money and upgrade that camera, or just kind of wait and save up some money and get a third body. So those are some of the major reasons. Now, there's a lot of concerns that people had with the R5C when it came out. That was a while ago, and Canon has released some firmware updates to help that. One of which is, I know it's silly, but this is a thing. When you switch it from photo to video, it took a really long time. They released a firmware that updated that, and that's a lot shorter. The battery life obviously is a thing. This camera with a built-in fan, it just sucks through batteries. There's all sorts of companies that have come out with ways to help this solution of coming out with a battery that works well with it. So for my Ronin, the small rig makes a little mount that goes right underneath the gimbal, and you just plug a USB-C cable in from the battery to the camera, and you don't have to worry about battery. I think the small rig battery that I bought lasts like 8 hours. And so I never have to worry about swapping out a battery on the R5C when I'm on my Ronin. I also bought a little sled that just attaches to the back of it when it's on a tripod when I'm doing interviews. And this does two different things. One, it makes that mirrorless camera last forever with battery. But then the other side of it is it makes it look just a little bit bigger. And if you've ever worked with a professional client, when you walk in with a bigger camera, their eyes just get a little bigger. And I understand that it doesn't matter. You could shoot the same kind of quality on a smaller camera or a big cinema camera, but as soon as you start to build out that rig, it just looks more impressive. And you can kind of, get into that next tier of clients because you're a little bit more professional. I know it's a silly thing, but that's just the way that the world works. All right, so I'm excited to try out this camera. I haven't really shot too much video with it. A couple handheld things, a couple, around the house and outdoors. But as far as the dynamic range, I'm imagining it's just as good as the R5 and the R6, which for me, I shoot in a lot of controlled lighting scenarios when I'm doing corporate work, so I can control that dynamic range. When I'm outside, I feel like it's good enough. Obviously, if I want to get into, higher end cinema cameras, then they can handle higher dynamic range. But for me personally, this camera works really well. I'm excited to try it out. So if you are not subscribed to this channel and you're interested in the R5C, I'm gonna be releasing some videos, some samples, some comparisons, different things that I'm learning, and also some tips and tricks, some tutorials on this camera, along with all of the Canon mirrorless lineup. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Did I make the right choice? I would love for you to leave a comment on this video to let me know what you think. Should I have just went ahead and got that R5 Mark II and been done with it, or do you think I made the right choice with this R5C? All right, guys, see you soon.